Welcome at Pizza and More. Who of you has been already in the total south of Italy? So I mean the heel of the Italian boot. So yes, Puglia. Yeah, I'm Jürgen and we make today a bread which is really very typical for that region of Italy, the Pane di Altamura. In Puglia, lots of things are baken with hard wheat flour. I hope this is the right impression for it. So, and that's also the reason why we make this kind of bread with Semola, Semolina. The Pane di Altamura is normally made with Lievito Madre, so the Italian version of sourdough. If you don't have Lievito Madre by hand, then simply leave it away. But then you have to use a bit less salt, but more yeast. All the ingredients, all the weights are in the video description, and there is also the whole procedure how to make this nice bread. If you want to breed your own Lievito Madre, in this video I show exactly how it works. The Italian bakers use also, additional to the Lievito Madre, a small amount of yeast. This yeast is used to lower a little bit the sour taste of the sourdough. And now I would say we start directly with the dough. The ingredients for 2 breads, so for 2 Pane di Altamura, we have here 500 grams of Semolina, 350 grams of very cold water, 150 grams of my Lievito Madre, 12 grams of fine sea salt, 1 gram of dry yeast. If you want to use fresh yeast, then please use 3 grams of fresh yeast. In case you have no Lievito Madre, then you have to use only 10 grams of salt and 2.5 grams of dry yeast or 7.5 grams of fresh yeast. For the dough we have to pour at first the water into our bowl of the mixer. As next we add the Lievito Madre. Now we mix up the Lievito Madre a little bit in the water. It's not required to dissolve it totally. And now we add the total amount of Semolina. And we start mixing everything for around 2 to 5 minutes. If everything is mixed up properly, after 2 to 5 minutes, we cover the bowl of the mixer and then we let it rest for 30 to 60 minutes. This is the so-called autolysis. And now at the end of the autolysis time, we add the yeast to the dough. Then we start kneading for a few minutes. And as soon the yeast is totally kneaded or incorporated into the dough, we add the salt. When the yeast is good incorporated, we add now the salt. And then we continue kneading for around 15 to 20 minutes. We knead until the window test works. After around 15 minutes, I think the dough is now ready. I will make now the window test. For this test, it's the best to cover your hands with water to prevent the dough from sticking to your hands. Then you take a bit of dough, you shape a ball, and then you stretch it. And if you are able to stretch it and you see how it's possible, the gluten structure is very, very good built. Then it's time to take it out, the dough out into a container, and I cover the container with olive oil. Now it's very important to close the lid of the box. And then we let the dough rest at room temperature for around 2 hours. And each 30 minutes we make stretch and fold. And after these 2 hours, we put the dough into the fridge for around 12 hours. Now after 30 minutes, the first stretch and fold is required. To make now stretch and fold, it's the easiest to cover your hand again with water, and then you stretch the dough and fold it over. You stretch the dough and fold it over, and you do this around the whole dough. I did 3 times the stretch and fold. The dough was 12 hours in the fridge, and 2 hours ago I took the dough out of the fridge so that the dough could get room temperature. And now we are shaping the breads. And now it is important to put enough flour or even semola on top of the dough, and then we put the dough out onto our counter. And now we divide the dough into 2 pieces. To shape now the bread, we stretch it a bit, but very careful, and the nice surface which was on top during the leavening time is put onto the counter, and the side which was in the bowl is here on top now. And then we fold from the left and from the right the dough, and then we roll it up. And then again the nice surface stays on the counter, and then we press it a little bit flat. Then we roll it again from the left towards the center, and here we stop. The same from the other side. We roll it until we are at the center. Then we use again semolina, and then one of the sides is pressed flat a bit, and then fold it over the other part. And then we put it as it is onto a prepared cloth. Then we fold this over, and also from the other side. And then we let it raise again for 1 hour. Now in the meanwhile we can preheat our oven to 250 degrees upper and lower heat. It is important to use a upside down baking tray or a pizza steel or a pizza stone. Put it onto the lowest level in your oven and preheat as well. It's important for this bread that we produce steam in the oven. If your oven is able to produce steam by itself, like mine is able, it's fantastic. If not, you could use a heat resistant bowl or any other thing which is heat resistant. Put it also into the oven where you can pour water in afterwards to produce steam, or you could even spray water into the oven, or you can pour some water onto the bottom of the oven, then steam is also produced. And after enough leavening time, we put some semolina onto our peel, and then we launch the 2 breads into the oven. After the bread is in the oven, it's important to produce steam, like I said. Then also we have to lower the temperature to 220 degrees Celsius and we let it bake. After 20 minutes baking, we release all the steam out of the oven. If you have a heat resistant pot inside of the oven with water, then please also remove the water out of the oven. And then as soon the steam is out of the oven, we continue baking for additional 30 minutes until the bread is nice and golden. And after the baking time, we take the breads out of the oven and now it's important to let the bread cool down, because if we would cut right now the bread directly, there would be the possibility that the bread gets dry. If you like my video, it would be fantastic if you would subscribe my channel. Then we see us also in the next video. Ciao.